everyone. I'm Shalini, OBG physiotherapist. I'm extremely delighted to invite you all for this webinar, the third chapter of Sakra Re-Aspire Club, a support group for continuity of care for patients with chronic lung disorders. Now I would like to invite Komal San to throw some light on what our unique initiative is all about.
Thank you, Shalini San. Good morning, everyone. Let us first understand what is pulmonary rehabilitation. Pulmonary rehabilitation is a comprehensive approach which involves the care from a multidisciplinary team of specialists. The clinical team and their respective roles are pulmonologist, who is responsible for the overall medical direction of the program. Physiatrist, he is a physician specialized in physical medicine and rehabilitation who works with the pulmonologist and other rehabilitation team members. He helps to identify what are the patient's rehabilitation needs. Pulmonary physiotherapists who help to improve the respiratory and peripheral muscle strength, cardiovascular fitness, and exercise tolerance. Occupational therapists are those who help the patient to achieve the maximum level of independence in their daily activities. Yoga therapists are those who provide a better breathing control and relaxation. Speech therapist focuses on the respiratory support for speech. They also facilitate in the respiratory and swallowing coordination. Psychologist supports in the patient's adaptation to the respiratory disease and helps to minimize stress. Nutritionist does a detailed assessment in the nutrition part and provides a customized diet plan. Geriatric physiotherapists are those who assesses the fall risk in the elderly population. They also train the patient on the balance and functional mobility. OBG therapist strengthens the pelvic floor muscles, which helps to reduce the symptoms of urine leakage. This is commonly seen in the elderly population. This program helps to improve the quality of life of patients suffering from chronic lung diseases such as COPD, asthma, interstitial lung diseases, etc. It is a patient-centric approach where the specialist will contribute as per the clinical requirements of each patient. Based on the global standards and our practice, we have found that there is a significant improvement in the patients who undergo 10 to 18 sessions of pulmonary rehabilitation on the OPD basis. The protocol is always customized to suit the patient's assessment findings. We also measure almost 30 plus clinical parameters in order to understand the patient's response to the program. We have also created a support group which we call the Sakra Re-Aspire Club. It is dedicated to the patients suffering from chronic lung diseases as well as the caregivers. This forum, it creates a forum which provides an opportunity for the people to meet and to interact with other patients as well as the various clinical specialists in the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Komal San.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Since your safety is our utmost priority, this webinar version is first of its kind, which has been organized from Sakra World Hospital to make sure the continuity of care and support is maintained by following the norms for the new normal during the current pandemic. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our team members today who will be guiding us through this webinar. We have Dr. Sachin and Dr. Ajay, Senior Consultant Pulmonologist, Dr. Maheshwarappa, Senior Consultant Physiatrist, Saral San, AGN, Sakra Institute of Rehabilitation Sciences, Physiotherapist, Pulmonary Physiotherapist, Komal San, Rohit San, Priya San, Aditi San, Yoga Therapist, Jeetu San, Occupational Therapist, Archana San, and Speech Therapist, Shruti San. Before proceeding further, let me share some ground rules. For a smooth listening experience, I request all the participants to mute yourself throughout the webinar session. We have already received some questions from you. If you have furthermore questions, please type them in the chat box. If there are any specific concerns that you have and would like to interact with a particular team member like Dr. Sachin or a yoga therapist, please opt for an online video consultation facility. The agenda of this webinar is to practice and learn few breathing exercises, followed by a question answer session by our experts to clarify all your doubts pertaining to your condition. Yoga, a group of physical, mental, and spiritual practices originated in our very own country, has got enormous benefits for patients with pulmonary disorders. We consider ourselves very lucky to have a qualified yoga therapist in our team who is going to guide us through a live yoga session. I request everyone to please follow the instructions carefully, listen to your body, and perform according to your own ability. Certain practices might not be easy for you. If you experience any discomfort and pain, kindly stop the practice and please observe. Handing over to Jitu San, our yoga therapy specialist. Please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jitu. I'm a yoga therapist at Sakra World Hospital. So before starting the yoga session, I would like to give some important instructions. Sit comfortably on a stable chair. Make sure your spine is erect. As we are not there to directly supervise you, therefore, please know your limits. While performing any yoga practices, if you feel any difficulty in breathing, cough, discomfort, kindly stop the practice immediately. I would be giving instruction of each yoga practices and Austin Sen will demonstrate respective practices. Kindly first observe us, then we'll all perform together. So perform each and every practices very slowly and gently. Now we'll move towards our first practice, which is hand stretch breathing. This technique helps to improve the thoracic expansion at different levels, thereby improving lung capacity. So we'll move towards just observe us. We will be showing once, then we'll perform all together. So interlock your both the fingers, place on your chest. By inhale, stretch your both the hands in front of your chest. Exhale through mouth, pursed lip. Slowly bring it back. Now this is one round. Let us repeat 5 rounds all together. Now you close your eyes, your all awareness towards your lungs. So inhale, stretch in front of your chest. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, stretch. Exhale through mouth, bring it back. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring it back. Last 2 rounds. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring it back. Your exhalation should be longer than inhalation. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring it back. Slowly relax. Observe your mind. Relax yourself. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Now we'll move towards our second variation of hand stretch breathing, which is above the forehead level. So again, interlock both the fingers, place on your chest. Inhale, stretch above the head. Exhale, bring it back. This is one round. Let us repeat 5 rounds all together. Now you close your eyes, observe your body, your entire awareness towards your lungs. So inhale, stretch above the forehead, slowly. Exhale, exhale through mouth, bring it back. Synchronize hand movement with your breathing. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring it back. 3 more rounds. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, back. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, back. Last round. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, back. Relax. Place your both the palms on your respective knees. Feel the changes. Observe the changes. After the practice, now we'll slowly and gently open your eyes. Now we'll move towards third variation of hand stretch breathing, which is vertically above the head. So again, interlock your fingers, place your both the palms on your chest. Inhale, stretch above the head. Inhale, exhale, exhale through mouth. Now this is one round. Let us repeat 5 rounds all together. Now you close your eyes. Inhale, stretch above the head. Exhale through mouth, bring it down. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, down. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bring it back. Last 2 rounds. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, back. Last round. Inhale, stretch. Synchronize your breathing. Exhale, bring it back. Relax your shoulder, release your hand, place on your respective knee. Feel the changes, observe the changes within you, within your body, within your mind. Relax completely. Now slowly and gently open your eyes. Now we'll move towards second breathing exercise, which is hands in and out breathing. It helps to increase the oxygen consumption in your lungs. So we'll demonstrate first, then we'll perform all together. Just observe us first. So raise your both the hands to shoulder level distance in front of your chest. Join your both the palms each other. Now inhale, raise your hand. Oh, spread your both the hands, shoulder level. Join your palms. This is 1 round. Let us repeat 5 rounds all together. Inhale, expand your chest. Exhale, exhale through mouth. Slowly. Inhale, spread your hand, expand your chest. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, spread your hands. Exhale, bring it back. Last 2 rounds. Inhale, expand your chest, spread your hands. Exhale through mouth, slowly. Last round. Inhale, spread your hands, expand your chest. Exhale slowly and gently. Now release your hand. Place your both the palms on the respective knees. Feel the changes. Normalize your breath. Observe the changes. Slowly and gently open your eyes. We'll move towards third practice, which is twisting on chair. It helps to improve thoracic mobility and overall flexibility. So while inhalation, twist your body right side. If you, as much as you can, if you can hold the chair with the help of your palms, you can hold. Otherwise, be there as much as there for 5 normal breathing. Come to center while exhalation. This is 1 round. Let us repeat 5 rounds all together. Inhale, twist your body. Be there for 5 normal breaths. Come to center, exhalation. Now we'll practice same other side. Inhale, twist your body, left side. Be there for 5 normal breathing. Exhale, come to center. Inhale, twist your body right side. Exhale, center. Inhale, other side. Be there. Exhale, come to center. Last 3 rounds. Inhale, twist. Exhale, center. Inhale, twist left side. exhale, center. Last 2 rounds, inhale, twist outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to center. Inhale, left side. Be there for 5 normal breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to center. Last round. Inhale, twist your body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to center. Inhale, twist left side. Be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to center. Release your hand. Place your both the palms on your respective knee. Feel the changes. Feel the lightness of your body. With more oxygen consumption in your body, feel the changes. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Now we'll move towards our fourth practice, which is diaphragmatic breathing. Regular practice of diaphragmatic breathing provides better breathing control and also prevent paradoxical breathing, which is commonly seen in chronic lung conditions. So sit comfortably. Place your right hand on your abdomen up to the navel. So inhale through nose. You should feel inhaling, air moving through the nostril into your abdomen, and abdomen should bulge up. While exhale through mouth, and abdomen should sink down. So you can see, inhale, exhale. So this is one round. Let us repeat all together 15 rounds. Close your eyes, your entire awareness towards your abdomen region. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale up, exhale down. Entire focus on your abdomen. Observe your breath. Through breath, you can control your mind. You can feel your thoughts became slow, your mind became calm. Continue 10 more rounds. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, up. Exhale, sinking down. Last 5 rounds. Inhale, up. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, up. Exhale, sinking down. Last 3 rounds. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sink down. Last round. Inhale, abdomen bulge up. Exhale, sink down. Release your hand. Place your palm on your respective knees. Feel the changes. Feel the calmness of your mind. Your entire body became light. Your mind became very calm. Slowly and gently, open your eyes. Now we move towards our second last practice, which is Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama. This pranayama helps in blood pressure regulation and maintain normal heart rate of a person. So you need to observe first because we have to adapt Nasika Mudra. So bend, turn your index finger and middle finger into your palm. This is Nasika Mudra. So now just observe us. Don't try. We'll perform all together. Just try once. You have to close your right nostril with your thumbs. And now we have to inhale 4 counts and we'll have to hold the breath for 4 counts and exhale the breath 5 counts. So just I will be giving instructions. You just observe first, then we'll perform all together. Okay? So close your right nostril with your thumbs. Inhale through left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the right left and exhale through right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then again inhale through right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the right. Exhale through left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is one round. Let us repeat all together 5 rounds. If you feel any difficulty, stop the practice. Other may continue. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again inhale through right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Close the right, exhale through left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue 4 more rounds. Just focus on your eyebrow center. Relax your body. Eyes remain closed and all awareness towards body, your mind, your breath. As you slow down your breath, your mind also became slow, fully energized, and complete relax. Last 2 rounds. Inhale through left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again inhale through right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last round, continue. Now gently stop the practice. Place your palms on your respective knees. Do not open your eyes. Just observe your body. Relax your mind. You can feel the lightness of your body. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Now we'll move towards our last breathing exercise, which is Brahmari Pranayama. This pranayama enhances calming down, managing stress, and also improve memory. So we will be giving instruction. You just We'll demonstrate first, then we'll perform all together. So first observe us carefully. So you have to touch your tongue to the upper palate. Close your mouth. Now place your both the thumb and close your ears and rest the four fingers. Close your eyes. Now inhale through nose while exhalation make humming sound. We will demonstrate. Inhale through nose while exhale. This is one round. Let us repeat all together 10 rounds. Eyes closed. Relax your shoulder if you want. Continue. Inhale through nose. Inhale. 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 Take a deep breath in. Last 5 rounds. Inhale. Last 3 rounds. Inhale. Last 2 rounds. Take a deep breath in. Last round. So release your hands. Place your both the palms on your respective knees. I remain close. Feel the vibration of Bhramari Pranayama within your body, within your mind. Feel the resonance. Observe your mind. Your mind became calm, quiet, fully energized with positive energy. Observe your body. Feel the silence within you, within your body, surrounding your body, all pervasive. Beautiful smile on your face. Be there for, enjoy the silence. Take a 2 more deep breath. Take a deep breath in. Exhale completely. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. So we'll conclude today's yoga session. Slowly and gently open your eyes. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day ahead.
Thank you, Jeetu San, for an amazing session. Now I would like to invite Dr. Sachin to answer the questions that we have received from our patients, and Dr. Ajay also to answer all the questions that we have received.
So, good morning, everyone. As you know, I'm Dr. Sachin. So, and with me, we have Dr. Ajay Handa. So, recently we have increased our team here at Sakra World Hospital. He has joined as senior consultant here. So, we'll both be very happy to take your questions. And first of all, at the outset, we'll like to thank you all for joining us in this endeavor. As you know, it's our journey from the baby to infancy to, and we are still growing. So, without your help, it would not have been possible. And we are missing you. That is what we can tell. And because many of you who used to come here, we know by face and by names. So they were doing very good job. But because of this pandemic, we are not able to serve you right now. But it is always our effort to connect back to you and do whatever we can do for you. And because you know this, your health is utmost importance to us also. And these things should be on a continuous basis, as we have been highlighting. So we'll take your questions one by one. Already we have received some, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So the first question is, does pulmonary rehabilitation help all types of lung problems, including conditions other than COPD?
Yeah, so I will tell you the history of pulmonary rehabilitation. Once it started initially as a exercise program for patients with COPD only. COPD means those who are smoking related chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, what is a normal term. But slowly we see the exercise has a huge potential, not only in COPD, but other diseases also. Other diseases, I mean other respiratory disease like interstitial lung disease, or even with neuromuscular problem. And also we have now seen that the benefit is seen even in non-pulmonary diseases, indirectly affecting our pulmonary. Suppose somebody is like Parkinson's disease, so they have a problem in swallowing, the reflex is not good, so they have a recurrent episode of aspiration pneumonia. So in those cases also this pulmonary rehab is helpful. So in total, yes, it is there to stay with other diseases also, not only confined to COPD.
How could I manage breathlessness at home or when I'm outside?
So I will tell you, it depends on the cause of your breathlessness. So breathlessness is a very broad term. So medically speaking, it could be because of respiratory disease. It could be because of non-respiratory disease also. So I think it is always better to consult your primary doctor first to see what is the cause of your breathlessness. And if it is because of respiratory disease, which we assume right now for this session. So first is taking regular care of your basic disease, which is like the medicines what doctors has prescribed you. And obviously then the role of pulmonary rehabilitation comes. So those exercise, which is a tailor-made exercise program, what we cater here at Sakra, so they can be done at home also and outside also. Because if you see, our body is like a machine. If you sit idle, do nothing, then it will rust actually. So all our breathing apparatus, neuromuscular muscles, everything requires toning, and exercise is a must for that. So these exercises can be done easily at home also and at your outside at your place also. So we'll keep going through that in various sessions what we are doing discussing right now.
How could I know if I'm fit for pulmonary rehabilitation?
So obviously it's a pulmonary rehabilitation is offered to all varieties of respiratory disease, including chronic as well as some acute condition also. But I think you have to again consult with your primary care provider, be it a doctor, to assess your fitness, because certain things like heart problem, if you have a chest pain, then it requires further evaluation before you are deemed fit to enroll in a program. And second thing is that once you come, we evaluate you and a tailor-made program is made for you. So you have to understand this is not a program or a exercise which is same for all. It is as per your individual fitness. There is a one-to-one session which our experienced physiotherapist team sit with you and they assess you, and then through that we make it a tailor-made program for you. And then it's a journey. We take you across and we always re-evaluate you how you are doing, which areas require again touch up, and based on that we devise a plan. So anything from your side, Dr. Handa?
No, apart from Dr. Sachin, what he said, your physician has to give okay that you are fit to be enrolled in the rehabilitation program. The underlying problems which are likely to be there during exercise should not be there. So cardiac stability should be there. You shouldn't be having chest pain and arrhythmias. You should be having a decent sense of balance. And if the person has got understanding problems, then it becomes difficult to deliver the public rehabilitation program. In specific cases, we would also like to take along relative or a member who can explain and do it, but if there's a significant amount of impairment of memory and inability to understand the instructions, then rehabilitation is really difficult.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you. Will the benefits of pulmonary rehabilitation be maintained for life?
So yes, if I say yes, sir, but there is a condition. Means even if you eat, you have to eat daily to survive. So you have to understand this exercise program is there to help, but provided you take it in you inculcate it like eating habits. So what I mean to say that it should be a part of your life. So then only it will be sustained. So you cannot be, it's not like a winning a medal. Once you win the medal, it will be there forever. No, the body and our physical problems are there to stay. So we have to carry on the exercises throughout the life, then obviously it will be sustained.
How many sessions of pulmonary rehabilitation are required to see an improvement?
Yeah. So as per international guideline, 18 sessions are the desirable. 18 sessions 3 times per week. So here at Sakra, we have devised this program based on that international guideline. So 3 times per week we call them, and for 6 weeks, so it is 18 sessions. But minimum required would be 9 to 10 sessions to see any reasonable difference. So, and also I will try to add that 18 is desirable, but not the maximum. So basically, if you are coming again and again, it's nothing like that, because as I told you, it has to be continued throughout the life. So the more the better, but it has to be programmed well. It should not be unsupervised. So there has to be somebody to look and guide you.
What precautions to take if I am on oxygen supplement?
Yeah, so oxygen supplementation is generally very much prescribed nowadays for all chronic diseases. And currently with COVID situation, even it is being used more. So 2-3 things I will highlight. That first thing is stick to the prescription. Oxygen is like a medicine. So it's not that whenever you need, you will take. There is a prescription attached to that. How many hours you need to take, how much should the flow. So generally 16 to 18 hours per day is desirable in most of the chronic diseases. And also 1 to 2 liters, whatever your care provider has told. Second thing, you have to see when to use the oxygen, because there is one common myth that when I am walking, they don't use oxygen. But you have to understand that is the time when your demand is more. Sitting, your demand is less. When you are walking, exerting, then your demand goes high. So you have to make it a point. If you have been prescribed oxygen to use, then you should also use when you are walking, be it with a long pipe or even you can use a small portable machine. And thirdly, like the delivery mechanism. So generally, oxygen concentrator are better than using cylinders, because you have to refill again and again, and those are also hazardous. So anything from Dr. Handa point?
No, the most important point which Dr. Sachin has said is the duration of use. If you are using oxygen for chronic respiratory failure related to COPD or interstitial lung disease, if you are using it less than 16 hours in a day, it's not going to do its benefit. So please use it for 16 to 18 hours minimum. Longer the use, the better the benefit, because it is replacing the level of oxygen and preventing the stress on the heart, which progresses otherwise to cause pulmonary hypertension, which again then worsens your outcome. So if you're on respiratory failure, oxygen support, it is called as long-term oxygen therapy. It needs to be used regularly, and for the duration of 16 to 18 hours. That is the desired.
Because from our side, we aim always to make your oxygen level at least 90, 88 to 90. Basically, and those who have cardiac disease definitely more than 90, because whatever is the supply needed, 1 liter, 2 liter, whatever is sufficient for you. And sometimes you need to increase. Suppose sitting, I require 1 liter, but when I am trying to walk or do exercise, maybe sometimes it needs to be increased. So we here at the Sakra, when we do a pulmonary rehab, so we also make it a point what is your requirement, and that we tailor made. There is a constant supervision on the oxygen saturation. And if the requirement is more, we increase the oxygen level during your exercise. And same can be done at home also. So yeah.
Another point regarding oxygen is a fire hazard.
Yeah.
So with regards to oxygen, it is absolutely desirable that in the room that the oxygen equipment is, there should be no agarbatti, no puja items, no children should move around there playing with their toys which can spark, because there can be inflammable situation with the explosion. So please keep it very, very careful.
Especially with cylinders, it is even the more. So
yeah. So concentrator is safer.
Concentrator is safer.
That was a very good point. Thank you, sir. How could we know whether my condition is getting better or bad?
So there are 2 ways to look. One is from the patient side, one is from the doctor side. So our program is aimed, and half of our program is subjective oriented, means there are various things which you will feel improvement. So what we know as quality of life, there are certain parameters which we measure daily when you come with pulmonary rehab session. Suppose a grandmother is there. She is confined to the room and she is finding it hard to even go to a toilet without assistance. But now with pulmonary rehabilitation and exercise, she is going out, going to the bathroom unassisted. It's an achievement for us. Second thing, she wants to play with her grandchild, but because of her limitations, she is not able to go. But now with exercise programs, she has recovered so much that she is very happy to play with the grandchild. So these are indirect improvement markers, apart from feeling good, feeling less breathless. But there are definite clinical indicators, quality parameters, what we say. We have a defined parameters in at every aspect of our program, exercise program, and each parameters are weighed from 1 to 4, or certain grading is there. So as you progress towards the journey of pulmonary rehab, so we see how you have progressed, and there is a file there is a file of each individual patient, and we guide this for from beginning to end. So what we have done from beginning, how they have progressed, and which all parameters need to be relooked. So obviously there is an objective assessment and also a subjective from your side.
Apart from that, the feeling of emotional, good factor which you get, the feel good factor, that you are now able to do the things, because the mother-in-law may feel very hesitant if the daughter-in-law is helping her in the bathroom. So for things like bathing and toilet, if the independence comes in, they are able to step into the kitchen and help out in the household. They able to look after the grandchildren. So that gives a real feeling that I am able to contribute something rather than being a bed bound person. So apart from physical improvement, emotional improvement, symptom improvement, and exercise improvement. So this pulmonary rehabilitation has a very all-rounded effect on the individual's overall whole body and mental health.
As many of you would have known, our program is 360-degree, what we call care. So we are not here only for respiratory for you, all other things connected. That is the main crux of our program. That's not only respiratory thing what we are dealing with you. We know as a doctor and as a patient, you also know this chronic respiratory disease take a toll, be it physical, be it mental, and also your family. So we take care all the aspects of your life, whichever is affected. So we take care in this program.
What all could I do at home since I cannot attend the pulmonary rehabilitation?
Yeah, so very good question in nowadays this scenario, because this is a unparalleled scenario we have never imagined and seen. So those of who you have already been enrolled with us can continue to do our program. And second thing, we are also right now planning, and many persons are enrolled also of our online pulmonary rehab schedule. So we are coming to that also, because as you see, we need to change also if the time has changed. So if we cannot come, then at least we can guide you through the technology. So from our side, we are happy to help you. We can create a group who are interested to do a pulmonary rehab session at your home, and we can plan it out, and some of them are already doing. So it's more encouraging for us if you can join us. Definitely that will be helpful to you in this situation, because you have to see this situation of COVID-19 is there to stay. So I cannot predict when it will be over. It could be months together. So we cannot leave all other things of life waiting for COVID to become over. So we have to take a call. So basically, it's definitely not advisable to visit a hospital unless it is necessary. But at the same time, we can do a video sessions with you if you all are interested. So we can connect separately for that. And many of us are already doing that. So we are already doing the pulmonary rehab sessions online. So we can do that thing in a larger way.
Whether the use of inhalers elevate blood sugar level and raise heartbeats, particularly in CABG and diabetes mellitus.
So this specific question is from somebody who is already diabetic and having heart disease. So his point of asking is, sometimes we give nebulization or medicines, can it increase the sugar? So the answer can be yes also, no also, because there are many different type of medicines which are used. But I think the doctor who is treating you would be aware of your underlying clinical condition. And generally speaking, inhaled medicines are safer to take. They will not increase your sugar so much. But at the same time, when you have these conditions, you should always tell your doctor for in the front only that I have diabetes. So he will take all care to give medicines which will not increase your sugars. And also that goes same for your heart, because many of the nebulizations can increase heart rate, but there are safer medicines also available. So it's not that all medicines are unsafe to take or something, but it has to be guided by your care provider or the doctor. So always discuss with your doctor before taking any medicine without any consultation or something.
One question from a patient. Please guide how to take precautions with patients having severe sleep apnea.
Yeah, so basically sleep apnea, for those who do not know, first I will highlight sleep apnea is a specific disease in which this is when you are sleeping in the night, because of some fat deposition and with aging process, this part gets narrowed. So you have difficulty in breathing in the night when you sleep because the tone goes off, and there will be recurrent episodes of awakening which disturbs your sleep cycle. And morning time, daytime sleepiness and lack of oxygen, tiredness are the features. So basically, approach guided by your doctor, which could be a pulmonologist or a ENT person, should see, and they generally do a sleep study to see how much is the severity, and depending on that we guide you the treatment. So both medical line is there with some exercise program also. We here at Sakra we are doing in pulmonary rehab, so some exercises for your this muscles, and also CPAP therapy. So I think Dr. Handa will further explain you regarding this.
So as Dr. Sachin said, that if there is a confirmed obstructive sleep apnea, the treatment of choice remains to be, fit, trying to keep your weight under check, because it is very closely related to being obese, keeping a regular exercise schedule of the whole body, and apart from that, specific exercises of the muscles of the neck, that is the tongue and the palate and the pharyngeal muscles. They are taught, and the simple exercises, but they have to be taught by experienced people who know how to demonstrate and give a particular exercise. Few minutes, 3 times in a day, if you do it over a period of few months, the muscles become stronger. But the primary treatment remains using CPAP regularly. That's a machine which gives you positive pressure therapy with the help of a face mask, and it abolishes the collapse of the air passages by keeping the positive airway pressure, and then the apnea episodes. And patients who use it, they have beautiful control of their problem, and they are able to sleep very well, so they have a very normal life in the morning. So you use the machine through the night, and in the morning you are absolutely back to normal. But it has to be a effort which continues over a long time. You cannot say that it's taken for a few days and not taken for a few days.
We have certain COVID related questions also. The first question was, I am having ILD. Is chances of getting COVID infection high for me?
So we do not want to panic you all. So any chronic respiratory disease per se, definitely yes, they have a higher chance of not getting, I will tell you, till the research doesn't show that, but it can be severe. And also the recovery rates are less. So those who have chronic respiratory disease, definitely I would suggest them to be very careful and not to step out of the house, social distancing, wearing a mask, taking care of your basic disease. So those things should be a part, and definitely yes, even if a slight hesitation is there of having something new, any fever or any breathlessness which is more than your usual self, definitely you should seek out the help of your care provider. So yes, those even other than ILDs, those who have chronic respiratory disease are at higher risk, and the outcomes are not good. So definitely in the time of COVID, you should take care of all the precautions for everybody, and for elderly and those who are oxygen dependent and all those, definitely they should be confined to home as far as possible and take care of their basic disease in a good way. And at the same time, reach out to a doctor early whenever you have any doubt.
What precautions I have to take during this COVID pandemic?
Yeah, so this is the continuity of the same thing. So something as a part of routine, what we have been highlighting would be washing your hand regularly with soap and water, sanitizer, wearing a mask, social distancing as far as possible, stay at indoors. So those things are the crux and the backbone of this thing, because we don't have yet the vaccine and treatment modality for this COVID-19. But obviously these things should be there. Anything from your side?
No, all the precautions which are displayed by the government on the various media, the televisions and the Ministry of Health, those precautions are to be followed. Please keep distance between two individuals if possible. Inside the family it is lesser, but inside when you step out of the house, the distance of 6 feet between two individuals, covering your nose and mouth when you are having an episode of cough or sneezing, and hand washing regularly, and avoid touching your face and mouth. So that could be a way where you get the infection and transmit it to yourself.
What tests are done to diagnose COVID-19?
So it's a technical question, but we will take it. So there are various type of antigen tests, and some are like Government of India approved. So there are to simplify, there are certain known as RT-PCR. So it's a method which is most widely used and it is available all across. So RT-PCR based assays are the best one as of now. And then there are GeneXpert and other nucleic acid tests also available. And also sometimes we do antibodies level also to see the recovery rate and immunity levels, and these are more for epidemiological, this for study and research purpose as of now. So but most of the time we do the RT-PCR based assays, which are the best one for diagnosis of COVID-19 as of now.
Should I wear mask when going for walk and exercising?
So yes, it is recommended that as far as possible you should wear the mask, except in certain scenarios. Suppose you are in a hill station or in a very like a forest-like situation where you are the only one. So then maybe you can take the liberty, but obviously better to wear a mask. And during exercising, so there is certain reports nowadays in media which is coming that if you exercise with mask, then certain diseases will become worse. To a certain extent, these are not true also, because for a healthy adult, there should not be any impairment on your breathing if you're wearing a thin mask. But at the same time, if you have some cardiac disease or certain respiratory disease, then maybe during exercise, sometimes we tell you not to wear a thick mask. We can wear a simple cloth mask. But obviously, what do you say? From our side, we want you to wear more. The more, the better.
No, the thin mask, cloth mask is all right. Definitely not the N95 mask,
Yeah.
which is used by doctors. Because if you're using N95 mask with a tight seal on your face, when you're doing strenuous physical activity, you will definitely feel lack of breath, and it could trigger off a undesirable situation where patient could even have myocardial ischemia. So a normal face mask, a thin face mask, or even a cloth mask could be taken. If you are there where there's a person, the mask is important because it's not to spread. You should not be spreading. So if everybody of us is masking, the spread from individual to individual is not there. But like as he said, if you are the only person on the road, nobody 100 meters ahead or behind, you could pull the mask down, and you could pull it up when you are seeing a person within your visual range, and then you can again see and go like that.
Should I wear gloves all the time?
So I would not recommend wearing gloves all the time, because the thing is that washing hand is definitely better than wearing a gloves, because wearing gloves will give you false security sometimes. So it is obvious that one who is wearing a glove will not be washing the gloves again and again. So it's very common sense to say. Second thing is that the gloves, if you're wearing, it should not be reusable. You should use and throw most of the time, because the very fact you are wearing gloves to avoid contact, and same thing is attached to your gloves. So from our side, except for certain scenarios like you are caring for a patient in a hospital scenario, or in your home somebody is sick, you are handling some secretions or changing diapers for hygiene purpose and all those things, then definitely yes. But for a regular thing, except going out buying groceries, sometimes you can use, because there's common places which are touched by many. But definitely all the time it's not advisable to wear the gloves.
How can we get flu vaccines? Is it safe to visit hospital?
So flu vaccines for normal persons, there are many vaccines available which have been proven to prevent you from normal kind of flu, but not COVID-19. We should be very clear about this. These vaccines, what we are talking about is for flu, influenza, normal cough and cold, not COVID-19. Second thing, these are seasonal vaccines, seasonal virus. So the vaccines are also has to be taken maybe a yearly basis, and there are new batches of vaccine come. So generally the best time would be to take would be before winter, like August or September, when the new vaccines are there in the stock. And it's not necessary to visit a hospital only for vaccination. As I told you, it can be taken. Maybe there are many home care providers now, and also Sakra, we have a home care dedicated service also. So if somebody interested, they can definitely contact them. Otherwise, you can go to a place where they are giving you, not necessary to visit a hospital, because these vaccines are very safe. So anybody can give, like a technical person can give it, and this is intramuscular once a year. So it can be given, but not necessarily at hospital setting.
Any precautions for asthma and upper respiratory tract infections?
So asthma and upper respiratory tract. So definitely upper respiratory tract infection I would like to first take, because right now, given the scenario, anybody has upper respiratory tract infection means in normal scenario, fever, cough, cold, sneezing, running nose, fever. So at least they should contact a doctor to rule out possibility of COVID. That I would like to first tell, because right now any influenza-like illness, we should strongly suspect COVID. Regarding plain asthma, they should stick to their normal program. They should not take a liberty to because they are not visiting hospitals, so they will not take medicines. So they should not take this liberty. They should stick to the basic program. And we have seen many times that they come without taking the medicine. There is a gap, and then they land up in exacerbation, and they are again having the second set of tests, second set of problems.
Just want to add one line. It's one of the most important aspects of treatment is the inhaler therapy. Somehow there is a myth associated with inhalers that inhalers are likely to be habit forming. When a person is taking anti-diabetic medication or anti-blood pressure medication, they don't ask this question that this is habit forming. So this is very, very small quantities of medication which are in micrograms, which are delivered into the air passages directly and control the disease so well that you will feel that you never had the disease. Once you become well, you start taking liberties with the treatment and start playing around with your inhaler therapy. Please, for God's sake, continue the inhalers as prescribed. The medication will be decreased by the doctor under supervision in a very gradual manner, and then you will be, if you're safe, if your episodes are only very seasonal or very trigger related, then possibly the doctor will advise you to stop. You don't stop on your own, because asthma health is related to inhaler regular and taking it on time.
Yeah, good.
There is no space to walk in the house. What can substitute that?
So as I told you, this pulmonary rehabilitation exercise, obviously walking is a very good form of exercise, but if you have constraints, sitting also you can do the exercise. So suppose I'm sitting here, so there is no harm in doing my upper muscle exercises, even the legs exercises. There are both endurance, like I can put it like this for some time, or I can do some joint exercise sitting also, and also standing for that matter. So even sleeping also we can do exercise. So just walking is one part, but not the only exercise. So maybe you must be living somewhere, so there has to be some room-like space. So you can do many rounds also. So it's not that only road or in the park you are walking that counts as exercise. No. So
let me just add,
yeah,
saying that people in this COVID era have done 10-kilometer run inside their house.
yeah.
They have done a virtual half marathon inside their house, running from one room to the other. They found it is a 25-meter circuit, and they did a 2.5 or 2-hour run. So that's the extreme. But please use the space whatever you have got to do walking within the house.
And even if your smartphone you're using, everybody has a tracker in that, so you can count the steps actually. So that also gives you a feedback, and also you can count how much you are walking actually. So that also counts as exercise. So walking in all form is welcome, whether you are walking from one bedroom to another, or from here to kitchen and eat something and come back.
So all respiratory patients, the biggest and the best exercise would be walking in the present times.
Yeah.
If someone gets COVID-19, could they still do pulmonary rehabilitation?
So COVID-19, I will tell you, depends on 2-3 things. First is the medical condition of the patient. So generally with mild, no symptoms, if they're earlier doing at home, they can continue slight exercises. But if they have symptoms, then obviously they should wait to get recovered. And if they're planning to do some pulmonary rehab at a hospital setting, then maybe a 4 to 6 weeks gap is desirable, because they might be unknowingly spreading the virus, although medically recovered. So these are the not strictly medical but social consideration, what I say. But as a blanket cover, I would say no. Till you recover, you should ask your doctor and then only rejoin the pulmonary rehab exercise. Yeah?
Definitely avoid coming out for pulmonary rehabilitation. If you are a fresh case, please recover fully in the first 1.5 to 2 months after recovery. You are still not fully well. You still have those aches and fatigability. Please recover fully, seek your doctor's advice, and only then.
Because you have to understand that all patients who are coming for pulmonary rehab are those patients who are the most vulnerable. So we do not want it to spread among the patient also. So that safety is our paramount importance. So for that purpose also, we should wait once you get a negative or once you get a green ahead from your doctor, then only you should enroll at a center for pulmonary rehab. Yes, at home you can do certain exercises, provided that you have been cleared for that from your doctor.
Thank you, sir. We are done with all the questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you all for joining us. So I would like to highlight again, thank you all for joining us in this Saturday afternoon. We know that we are having very hard times and we have to sail through. So we are here to help you, and I would also urge you again to connect back to us and continue doing something for your health, because COVID is there. It's a coma. It's not a full stop. So it should not put a full stop on your physical activities. We should carry on our life And also pulmonary rehabilitation is a very good and valid and also much needed part of your treatment journey. So please do not sacrifice these things. If you're not coming here, well, you can do the same thing at home. We are there to help you, and definitely many of you who are interested can join our online pulmonary rehab schedule. So, and we also eagerly are waiting. Once this is over, again we should meet you and play around. So earlier our Respire Club, you should know, the earlier we used to have a very fun interaction. So we are missing you. So let's see when we can be again in touch.
So make exercise a part of your life.
Thank you.
So once again, if there are any specific concerns or questions that you have, please opt for our online video consultation facility. In case if you have to interact with a particular team member like Dr. Sachin, Dr. Ajay, or a yoga therapist, please feel free to consult us through the online video consultation facility. Now, I would like to extend a gratitude to each and every one who made this event possible by understanding the need of support group and contributing in every possible ways. I would like to thank our IT team and marketing team for helping us to conduct this program smoothly. Last but not the least, a very special thank you from Sakra family to all the patients and caregivers for participating and making this event a memorable one. Thank you. Be safe. There's a small survey right after the end of this webinar. Please do give your feedback. Thank you. Stay safe.